Florida bill could change the future of alimony, even if you're already getting paid for it. The controversial legislation would cap payments, trim down how long it could last, and even cut back what's already been dished out. Florida Governor Rick Scott is only a signature away from making the Sunshine State the second in the country to alter alimony laws following Massachusetts. So is this the end of alimony as we know it, or will spouses keep having to pay until death do they part? Joining me now is FoxBusiness.com reporter Kate Rogers and attorney Michael Gottlieb. Michael, let me start with you. Give me the basics of the law, because I found this pretty shocking. There is a great distance between half the length of the time you were married and the rest of your life. I mean, it could be 5 years versus, 50 years.
Right. Well, what the law is doing is the bill is seeking to curb people who have been receiving alimony for forever, essentially. And there's people who don't go out, don't remarry, because they have provisions that say if they remarry, they don't get alimony. So I don't think it's seeking to do away with alimony. It's really seeking to curb the system and make it more amicable for both parties.
I don't know, Michael. I mean, you can always find a sob story for, any law that you're talking about here. But what do you think are the implications of this? So first of all, do you think it would move beyond Florida? And does it discourage or encourage marriage?
I think an argument can be made either way for discouraging or encouraging marriage. I mean, I think it's going to give some people who are not the income-earning spouse concern about whether or not they should try to make the marriage work, or whether or not, and tough it out, or they can go and get divorced and get alimony for life, as was the trend before. But the trend now, and I think you're going to see other states do this, the trend now is to get rid of this abusive alimony. And I think that's really what it boils down to, was the old system an antiquated system, and was it abusive to the income-earning spouse?
But you can find a story for anything. You could talk about the couple where the husband is abusive and the wife doesn't have any way to support herself, and the only reason why she gets out of the marriage is because she knows she can support herself on alimony. You take that away, she stays with an abusive. I mean, we could all come up with stories to work for any situation. Do you think that this goes beyond Florida and now it's in Massachusetts? I mean, is this or a similar law? It's not exactly the same. But is this something that you think could catch on around the country? And what about the retroactive part for people who already have been divorced going back in? How would that work?
Well, I think it's definitely something that can catch on throughout the country, and I think that it's something that should catch on throughout the country, because I think what this does is when you set the basis for the alimony at half the term of the marriage, it encourages that spouse that's not the income-earning spouse to go out there and improve their education and improve their position, as opposed to just sitting there and getting alimony payments for the rest of their life. In terms of whether or not other states will adopt it, absolutely, I think they should.
And what about this retroactive thing? I mean, should you be afraid, if you're out there right now and you're receiving alimony, that it's going to be taken away?
No, I don't think you should be afraid that it's going to be taken away. I think that what it's doing is giving the judges the discretion to go back to look at the retroactivity of the alimony payments and to make a decision, a wise decision, as to whether or not the position should be changed. Have the parties' positions changed? Are people cohabitating and defrauding the system? Are people making more money? Are people making less money? And let's face it, a lot of people are making less money but are still tied to huge alimony payments. So I think it's just an opportunity to revisit some situations that might not be considered equitable.
It's a tough one. Thanks to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.